Wow, that was interesting. Oh, Daily Grind 17, damn it. And I'm still on a quest as ascribed to me by the Kafine to make some TNT. Now, I don't quite remember how to do it, so I'm going to assume first that it's done this way and then hopefully be correct. It's not. Okay, so it's probably the other way around, which is unfortunate because that means these are more expensive than they would otherwise be. Ah, okay, that's it. Okay. Dang it. That's two. Those are damn expensive. I made this depot station because I had run out of food and I needed some food, frankly. I left some other supplies. I put this on the map as a depot station. You notice lots of weaponry. It's in Kafine's territory. Nice place, though, I have to say. This is an interesting looking place. But once I had put it on the Hello Deneb map, I kind of looked, and it really is quite a long way away from where I will eventually need to be if I were heading towards Tiir Nuujet'h. Well, there you have it. So today I thought I'd talk a little bit about nutrition, or our complete failure to oh, jeez, look at them all. To understand this stuff. I can say I personally was 320 pounds at one point, and I have gained some this year, but I dropped down to 190 at one point. I have basically, around this time last year, excuse me, around Christmas anyways, I got a ton, a literal, not quite literal, but a large sum of homemade fudge, which is always extremely nice, except for the fact that it obliterated my self-control. And this is not entirely with me, actually. This, and that's part of what I'm going to get into, is that, what the heck? Jeez, that you actually, varying from individual to individual, generally cannot control yourself in the presence of highly processed food. And this is not a psychological thing. This is a chemical thing. There's a guy, Dr. Lustig. I didn't do this one. I wonder what happened. Who is an absolute expert, biochemist, pediatrician kind of guy. He's been doing this for years. Oh, I think we've been through here before. Who knows down to the chemical what is going on in your mitochondria, in the cells, in your various organs, desperately trying to process this highly processed, unnatural stuff that we're putting into ourselves. Largely sucrose, and to be more explicit, its component called fructose, which is a natural enough molecule. Natural does not always mean good for you, but it occurs in fruit, after which it is named fructose. And sucrose, by the way, is a artificial sugar that has, not that hard to make, which is why we've had it for centuries, but it is a bonded glucose molecule with a glucose molecule bonded with a fructose molecule. Glucose is very good, fructose very bad. Your body knows precisely, I better eat. It knows precisely what to do with glucose, and it needs it. The brain needs it. All your organs need it. Fructose, not necessary to your function. Completely unnecessary, and in fact, so foreign to the body that it freaks out trying to process it. And pretty much every chemical reaction going on inside the cell that is currently trying to metabolize that particular molecule of sugar, or fructose, fails utterly. Every single one is bad. In fact, in a more recent, basically paper, not so much paper, but a talk by Lustig, he gets into how, frankly, the act of trying to metabolize the stuff in the body creates a certain amount of alcohol. And, I can't remember the term he used for it, but basically it is actually conditioning your body to become alcoholic. Because, and in fact, alcohol is processed in the brain in ways that this stuff is processed by the liver and, the cellular mitochondria and stuff like that. So you're actually conditioning yourself to become alcoholic and dependent on this chemical. In fact, when you actually examine what this sugar does to you, and it creates cross dependencies and the ability to become addicted to another drug very quickly. That's one of the, I think, 4 major requirements for something to be categorized a drug. It actually does it. It creates a dependency. Basically, it meets all 4 conditions to be called a drug. Ooh, I see you. But I'm not really interested in you. I'm interested in these guys. Oh, dang it. Oh, crap. Dang it! Stupid friggin' lag. Not desirable. Sorry about the craters, Kafine. They'll grow back, sort of. There'll be holes, but... Anyways, one of the major things that this does is it creates what's called leptin resistance in the body. Basically, the inability of the body and the brain to correctly recognize... hypothalamus? Something like that. To correctly recognize the leptin response, which is a hormone sent by your digestive system by, I'm not sure what part, whether the stomach or the mitochondria, the cellular breakdown. That part I'm a little fuzzy on. But leptin is what is sent to the brain to say, I'm full. I've eaten enough. Please give me a break so I can digest without, exploding. And, for diabetics and certain people with super rare conditions, look at them all down there. Is this lag again? That leptin response is gone, and these people dramatically gain weight. Sometimes from birth, gaining, 30 pounds a year, without the ability to stop, because their brains are constantly being told they're starving. They cannot, it's literally almost agony for them to not be eating. So they have very little control over it. And you could say, well, everybody has control over how they eat, and you really don't. You can try, and you will succeed to an extent, but you will always fail enough to gain that weight. And so it's that. But for people who are exposed to large amounts of processed sugar, which is basically everything in our diet, because even things like baked beans and ketchup and just so many products that we take for granted as not even being sweet are full of sugar. And then we eat fruit juice. We drink fruit juice instead of eat fruit, which is bad. Soda, 15 pounds. 1 can of soda a day is equivalent to gaining 15 pounds. And it's not just the direct calories that you get from the sugar in that case, but the dependency, the resistance to leptin that you build up that keeps you starved, so that it's not just that can of soda. It's the candy bar, and then the second and the third and the fourth can of soda. And people wonder why we have an obesity epidemic. So basically the gist is these processed sugars, or what I like to call free fructose, they set you up to be unable to control your eating. Oh, come on. No. Oh, whew. Every time with the lag. Holy cow. So the only real choice you have, the part of this that is under your control, is whether or not you have any sugar to begin with. Hold on. I can hear you. Oh, dang it. What the hell's going on here? Jesus. I was missing the buttons. Oh, hello. Well, at least you can't get up here. So yeah, that's a very, very horrible lesson in molecular nutritionology, biology, whatever. I will actually, if I remember to do so, link the Lustig's, 2 of Lustig's best and unfortunately kind of long dissertations, talks on the matter, because they are adhering to what you learn from them can save your life, or at least double your lifespan. People dying in heart attacks from 45 are not unusual these days because of this problem. So, what that basically means, though, in terms of nutrition, is no more processed food. And even things that don't seem sweet, like I mentioned before. Baked beans full of sugar. Dried raisins. Basically triple the amount of sugar that are actually in grapes. Any dried fruit absolutely coated in sugars. Fruit juice, horrible for you. It has vitamins, yes, but you can get those vitamins by eating the fruit. In fact, you can get more of those vitamins by eating the fruit. But what you also get when you eat that fruit is fiber, which is a great... it helps you feel full, in particular, which counteracts the starvation feeling you get from the fructose in the fruit. So in fruit, it's pretty much safe. It has a sufficient barrier, is a sufficient mitigation or counteracting force to so that you don't have to worry about eating fruit just because there's fructose in it. However, when that fructose is removed and refined together into table sugar, which is sucrose, or freed entirely, like in high fructose corn syrup, where because they're not 50-50, that means there are free fructoses floating around. And there are even in what they consider to be health food stores, like I can't remember, it was agave nectar, one of those things, where they actually sell pure fructose in this sort of liquid form as a sweetener. As if this is a good thing for you. No, this is the single worst thing you could be doing to yourself, and it's in health food and organic stores. Not that organic's bad. I mean, that's a whole other topic. And certainly organic produce is as natural as you're going to get these days, which means not GMO'd to have more sugar or less fiber, which are things you do need to be concerned about, besides the environmental impact of GMO harvesting, which is sort of separate but related. And maybe I'll get into that some other time. It's a topic I could only offer a little knowledge and mostly rhetoric, and I would actually want to expand on my knowledge before I get into it too much. I could get into an opinion piece about it and maybe get enough of it right to at least justify my position, but I'd like to be able to do better than that first. Anyways, so what you want to do for food is eat real food only. No, make your own sauces. It can be done. We've done it for hundreds, maybe thousands of years before industrialized food came along. Let's see. There's good arguments as to why you should cut back on or even eliminate meat from your diet, but it's not the problem in terms of the obesity and heart attacks. It's the highly processed and sugar-coated stuff that is the core of that problem. However, ecologically, meat is extremely expensive, and our lust for it is wrecking the very world we rely on to survive. So it's a very temporary satisfaction we'd get from overdosing on meat. That, again, is another topic. So yeah, just real food. Buy fruit, buy vegetables, buy meat. Cheese is probably fine for the most part. I mean, it's not exactly good for you, but it's not bad for you in the way that this other stuff is. So that, as long as, again, you do it in moderation, that should be okay. But even grains. I saw a thing today trying to suggest that it's the combination of sugars and gluten that is the problem. And no. The Dr. Lustig, I'm never sure which one is the correct way to pronounce it, but he isolates the fructose. as the core culprit. And when you actually engage in, and he engaged in studies and recovery, like almost medical interventions, either replacing the leptin that was oh, look at that. That's an impressive cave. That is an impressive cave. I'm going to get this one. Look at that. Actually, I think I might have had the better... Let me find another spot. It's just... Basically, his patients were effectively cured and lost tons and tons of weight based purely on isolating the fructose component of the issue. There was no concern given to gluten at all. None. And they ended up fine. And frankly, there are cultures out there. Let me do this. There are that's weird. There are cultures out there that have quite a lot of grain, pastas, things like, even rices, that, they have quite a lot of that, and they're not suffering. They have low weight issues, not issues, but they have little to no issues with weight and heart disease. And they're exposed to tons of gluten. So I in that article I read today, I strongly suspect it's not the gluten that's the problem, it's the sugar. Oop, wrong way. Sorry. That's better. Let's see, F1 and F2. I'll put that on the map. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Well, I ran out of disk space again. Not the first time today. So, yeah, I was going to say something about bread. Here, let me... I was going to say something about the bread. Bread itself is not wonderful for you, and a certain amount of sugar is used in its production, well, depending on what kind of bread it is. Anyways, but though proportionate to the amount of bread you get, it's actually a small amount of sugar. That said, if you go to a grocery store, the vast majority, except for Whole Foods, the vast majority of bread on their shelves is full of fructose instead. High fructose corn syrup is one of the prime ingredients. That's terrible, absolutely friggin' horrible. In fact, Harris Teeter is one of the local ones. There are like 5 around here. 5 different... Sorry, I can't concentrate too much. 5 different chains in the area. Giant, Whole Foods, Harris Teeter, Trader Joe's. I think there's even some Wegmans down here. In all but Whole Foods, if either all or all but one brand of bread will have high fructose. That's certainly the case at Harris Teeter. You had to go for the one... You had to read the entire shelf to find the one that didn't have high fructose in it. And that's pretty terrible. But overall, it's not that bad. We've been on bread for 1,000 years or more, 2,000, 3,000 years, who knows? Thousands of years. If it's more than one, it's plural, so good enough. Oh, more caves. Well, anyways, so that's general. The gist of it is, as I've already said, eat real food. Or if you're gonna process the food, i.e. cook it, do it yourself and do it with ingredients you have seen yourself. The meat, the vegetables, the fruit, the grains. Do it yourself. In fact, one of my web projects is effectively going to attempt to popularize cooking real food and eating real food through... I guess you could call it min-maxing, what they do in like World of Warcraft and stuff like that, where people find the best combinations of things, in this case it will be recipes and ingredients to find that recipe, to achieve a certain ends, and then everybody sort of copies it, really. And so to make it sort of competitive in that way, find the best, most cost-effective meals you can make that taste the best, cost the least, fill you up the most, and keep you the healthiest. And and so it's then they butt heads, and maybe you'll have local flair. What's popular in this neck of the woods versus what's popular in that neck of the woods, stuff like that. It's an ongoing thing, but I am making some progress. All right, well, good enough, right? All right. Thanks for watching. Please come again tomorrow for Daily Grind 18, I think. And I'll probably just continue this trek eastward towards my tower. And think of something else to talk about. I still have a long way to go on. I mean, I've got 2 TNT so far. Boy. All right. Thank you.